Hello everyone. Today I'm going to explain a little bit more about indirect and embedded questions. This will be useful when you're asking for information or you want to ask a polite question. So the first thing that is important to know is indirect and embedded questions. What are they? So a normal question would start with a WH word. In this situation, where is the station? So this is your WH word. Where is the station? If you make it indirect, so the indirect question, it would be, could you tell me where the station is? So this is what I'm talking about when it's about indirect and embedded questions. So this would be your normal question, and this is what it would change into. A different example would be, could you tell me what time breakfast is? And another example, do you know if there is a bus into town? So you can see that the normal questions for these examples would be, what time is breakfast? And is there a bus into town? That would be the normal question, but the indirect question would be, could you tell me what time breakfast is? And do you know if there is a bus into town? This is the idea of indirect and embedded questions. I want to get into it a little bit more. So, where is the station? Is the normal question or the direct question? Where is the station? If you make it indirect, it will tell you, could you tell me where the station is? So you can see that this word has completely gone to the back, and is, so the verb has changed place. So where the station is, where is the station? If you would just look at this, so where the station is, the form of to be, has gone completely to the back of the sentence. So an embedded question is a question inside another question. What do I mean by that? Is where is the station? That is the question. That is the question that you're supposed to ask or you want to ask. The fact that it is inside another question, you can see in here that, could you tell me where the station is? It is not directly the question that you're asking. In this case, the answer to this question would be, yes, I do know. You see, the answer to this question would be, yes, I do know where the station is. But that is not insinuated. You would want them to explain where the station is. So this is not the actual question that you're asking. You don't want to know if the person knows. You want to know where the station is. Do you see? So the polite way of saying something, so where is the station, make it indirect, and it would change into, could you tell me where the station is? But asking the question actually means, do you know it? But you want to ask a question inside another question. It is embedded. So your question, where is the station, is inside this new question. That is the idea. So, when do we use it? When we're talking to strangers? When we want to be, or when we want to ask for information? When we want to be more polite? So you could easily say, where is the station? But it is more polite if you're going to ask it this way. This is a more polite form. And then also at the start of every conversation. So you're not going to use this structure during your whole conversation. It's only at the start. So for instance, when I say, could you tell me where the station is? That is the indirect question, but you're not going to keep on going that way. So, for instance, could you tell me what time this train leaves? Could you tell me? No. So you start with this question, and then you can use your direct questions again. So, for instance, could you tell me where the station is? Do you know, or what time does the train leave? So, starting from a conversation, you use the indirect question, but after your first indirect question, you can use your direct or your normal questions again. Then, what is the form? How much does the ticket cost? Could you tell me how much the ticket costs? So this is your normal sentence, And this is your indirect form. Could you tell me how much the ticket costs? This is the embedded question. This is what I want you to know. So you're asking, could you tell me how much the ticket costs? No, I cannot. Or yes, I can. And if the answer is yes, I can, then the person will also tell you how much the ticket would be. So, could you tell me how much the ticket costs? What has changed? The first thing that has changed is could you tell me is added. So this sentence is not the same. Could you tell me is added to the sentence. And then how and how. So the second thing you need to remember is you're going to copy the question. And then 2, the auxiliary verb disappears. Does is an auxiliary verb. It helps the verb cost. These auxiliary verbs, you do not use them in the second one. It has completely disappeared. Could you tell me how much the ticket costs? There is no does, did, or do in there. So it just completely disappears. And the last thing that changes is the cost is not cost anymore. It is costs. So when you change it back into, or when you're going to change it into your indirect question or your embedded question, this verb will change back to the third person S. So you're going to add the S because you're talking about third person. You don't have it here in your question, but it will change in this type of question. So that's important to remember. So 3 things you need to remember. Could you tell me is added, or any other, could you help me with this question? Could you? So the first thing changes, the first addition changes. Second thing, auxiliary verbs disappears. And third, you have to pay attention to your third person and if it needs an S. So that's the form. Then we have a few rules. If there is a question word, we keep it. So what I explained in the sentence before, the how, you're going to copy the how. It's not erased, you're going to still use it. Then, if there is no question word, we use if or whether. Do you know what time it is? Is a yes or no question. Yes, I know. No, I don't know. Do you know what time it is? Then, if you're going to, that's the normal question. If you're going to change it in indirect, so if there is no question word or yes, no questions, if it goes, or if you want to make it indirect, you use if or whether. Could I ask you whether you know the time or what the time is? Could I ask you whether you know what the time is? Could I know if you know the time or what the time is? So in yes or no questions, you turn it into if or whether. Do I need my passport? It's the normal question. If it is, so it's yes, you need it, no, you don't. So it's a yes or no question. And it's changed into if or whether. Can I know if I need my passport? Could you tell me whether I need my passport? So that's what this is about. This is only for yes and no questions. And then we leave out the auxiliaries. As explained before, if you have auxiliary verbs, they just erased. You don't need them in the second part. And then we change the normal question word order. So when we have a question or when we have a sentence, normally it is a verb and subject. But now, when you're going to make it an indirect question, it changes into subject, then the verb. So not the opposite. So first the subject, then the verb. That's important. So the last thing, you can also use it, or you can also use statements to make a question. There are a few verbs that you can use if you want to do that. So wonder, know, remember, be sure, find out, think about, or forget, or even more. These are just examples. So you can make a statement in an embedded question. This sounds really weird, but if you read the examples, I think it will be clear. I wonder why she said that is a statement, but by using this sentence, you're asking for a reply. It's not a direct question. There is no question mark, but it insinuates that you would like an answer. Okay? So, I wonder why she said that. They don't know what they're doing. We don't remember where the house is. I'm not sure when we're going to arrive. Let's find out what time the show starts. She's thinking about how she's going to do it, and I've forgotten why I started this. So these are just examples if it were statement. This just extra. So first of all, pay attention to the questions that turn into embedded questions or indirect questions. That's the most important part. If you get that, I'm happy. Okay. I hope this explains a little bit more about indirect questions and embedded questions. And as always, if you have a question for me, do let me know and I'll try to help you out. Okay, that's it. Good luck.